Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastoma Vidavishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, page 132, chapter 72. Sukadeva Goswami said, from the sound of their voices, their physical stature, and the marks of bowstrings on their forearms, Jarasandha could tell that his guests were of the royal order. Right, because how they'll talk and everything like that, how they just have their physical, especially bhima. Right, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of Brahmins that look like bhima. You know, the only other one that we know of is how you say it? Madhvacharya, so that, the same person, right? Same line, like that. Yeah. So he began to think he had seen them somewhere before. Footnote 49. The Acharyas point out that Jarasandha had seen Lord Krishna, Bhimasena, and Arjuna at Draupadi Swayamvara ceremony, since they had come begging in the guise of Brahmanas. Jarasandha thought they must be low-class Kshatriyas, as indicated here by the word Rajanya Bandhun. Right, because he's remembering, because he's thinking, where have I seen these Brahmins before that appear to be Kshatriyas, but they're dressed up like Brahmins. Then he remembers Draupadi Swayamvar. Then Arjuna came there dressed as a Brahmin, but at the same time he had all those Kshatriya abilities, and then he took the girl, and then there's this whole fight. So he's starting to think, well, maybe there's a connection here. Jarasandha thought, these are surely members of the royal order, dressed as Brahmanas. But still I must grant their request for charity, even if they beg me for my own body. Indeed, the spotless glories of Bali Maharaj are heard throughout the world, right? So for the king to be known for his righteousness, so that's different from the Shudra's need for fame. That's just they need to be famous. It doesn't matter how, right? But for the king, it's because he's performing his duties nicely, right? So then they'll all be inspired by, because that will make them do things better, right? Because it's just fame. You'll do anything to get fame, right? Like that. But here they'll do what's proper, their duties and everything. Yes.
As devotees, we aspire to do the right things, not only in devotional service, but in general. But we also
But the general is not engaged in devotional service?
Yes. Yeah. But we also have our conditioned nature. And sometimes...
Isn't that the general?
It is the general. And sometimes to do the right thing is very much against the conditioned nature. So
yes, but we're supposed to work on the purified position of the conditioned nature.
So the question is, if it's very hard to do, should we still do it?
What's the alternative?
Not do it.
That means that's, but when not to do it means, would that be then akarma? It wouldn't be akarma.
No.
It would be perfectly performing your dharma.
No.
But that's akarma. When you don't do your duty when you should, but you're not doing something wrong, that's akarma. In this case. You know what I'm saying? So, karma means bhakti. Akarma means, karma means doing your duties. Akarma means not doing your duties, but you're not doing something wrong. And vikarma means doing something wrong. So you have vikarma, akarma, karma, and karma.
I was thinking
all the karma brothers, right?
I was just thinking about doing your duties, but there a spectrum how you can do your duties. You just do your duties, you can be nice doing these duties. That's what I was thinking more with the attitude and things that you can do a little bit more.
But you get more from the more you fill it out, the better result. So if you're happy with less of a result, then you can do that.
But it wouldn't be O karma, V karma, all that stuff.
O karma means it's bhakti, you're doing it to please Krishna. Like that. Karma means this is your duty, you're doing it how as best as your ability, according to your nature and what is recommended by Shastra. Akarma means I could do the duty, but I don't do the duty. So I'm not doing something wrong, but I'm not doing something right. You know, it's just like, let's say, whatever is the time, let's say in the afternoon or the morning, the garbage gets taken out, right? That's karma. But you don't take out the garbage, that's akarma. No, V-karma is taking, spreading the garbage all over the house or something, or throwing it over the neighbor's fence, or, stuff like that. That's is that, yeah. So, remember is that how they had before had talked about that someone who is charitable, there's nothing they can't give, or someone who's religious, nothing they can't do properly, and all these things. So they encouraged him in the religious position. At the same time as saying that they couldn't do, it also shows that if you didn't do it, then you wouldn't be in that position of glory. Right? So they praised him in a way showing that he is in a glorious position, but if he doesn't do it, then he's not. So naturally, of the two, you'll pick the glorious one. Indeed, the spotless glories of Bali Maharaj are heard throughout the world. Lord Vishnu, wishing to recover Indra's opulence from Bali, appeared before him in the guise of a Brahmana and made him fall down from his powerful position. Though aware of the ruse and forbidden by his guru, Bali, king of the demons, still gave Vishnu the whole earth in charity. What is the use of an unqualified Kshatriya who goes on living but fails to gain everlasting glory by working with his perishable body for the benefit of Brahmins? Right? So what he's thinking is proper. So in other words, he's religious, but it doesn't mean he's devotional. That's the thing in all these, is that religion is the natural activity you engage in devotion, but just because you're religious doesn't mean that you're devotional. Just because you like to hang out in the kitchen doesn't mean you're a good cook. Right? So unless of course you're hanging out and then getting things to eat, then you're doing fine. But yes.
So Maharaj, in this culture, everybody is supposed to be religious.
Everyone's supposed to be religious. That's why it's called Brahminical culture. Everyone's performing their religious duties, so it's all about the following the laws given by Brahman. And an understanding of that. So maybe they don't have, but they're working for someone who's working for someone who does. The Brahmins, the Kshatriyas are there, Vaishyas are there, Shudras, wherever they fit in. So eventually it all comes up that they respect the Brahmins. It's all about this knowledge given by the Brahmins. So that's what makes Brahminical culture. It's not Brahminical culture means just Brahmins. It means the culture that follows after the teachings that the Brahmins teach. Like that, because they teach the Veda. That's their service. Everyone studies it and that, but they practice as they've heard from the Brahmins. Like that. So that makes it very... yeah. Yes.
Alright, so he's thinking about Bali Maharaj, and he sees, like just mentioned here, and we see that from our own perspective as devotees, we see that Bali Maharaj made a step forward, and actually he executed Sarvadharma Parityaja, and then he went beyond ordinary dharma.
Yes.
And apparently Jarasandha doesn't see that part. He sees what motivates him personally.
Yes, he'll just see the dharma and the glory he's gained from that.
Exactly.
He doesn't... So what he's not fully catching is that it's because of surrendering or giving everything to Vishnu.
Yeah.
He may just see the religious part of the process,
right.
But he knows it was to Vishnu and that he got all the benefit.
But that's not the main focus.
No, it's not. It's karma,
Right.
like that. So even if there is that devotional element, it'll be bhakti Mr. Karma,
Yeah.
like that. But the point, that's the perfect thing of the Vedic culture, is that the same examples can inspire anybody, whether they're into karma, into gyan, or into bhakti. The same stories will, like we hear Mahabharata, and it inspires us in devotional service. Someone else hears Mahabharata, it inspires them in their mundane karma. So that's the whole thing. So anything can work on any of those levels because it's all Krishna. And so he is the potency of all these levels. Does that make sense? So in this, we're counting even V-karma as karma. It's just that it's starting to get very distorted at this point. Like that. So, yeah.
And I guess in the part of the Vedas that people like Jarasandha study, it's not really mentioned. It's not obvious that Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu, even though they, may perform sacrifice
Yeah.
to Vishnu. They don't understand. They don't
Because it's on that part of the Veda is discussing how to do a sacrifice, or what's the proper way of giving charity. That part is not about discussing about the Supreme Lord. Not that he won't be mentioned, but as you said, it is that he may be mentioned, but the emphasis will be put on the particular material knowledge that part of the Veda is describing. It's just like Manu will describe the Dharma. It's not that he doesn't talk about Vishnu, but it's describing the detail of Dharma. So that's the whole point, is that since the Veda is about service to the Lord, that's being very clearly given in Bhagavatam. And then, from that understanding, then you approach all the other literatures, then you can appreciate that, but you can get the detail of how to perform that activity. But those who don't catch that, then they just learn how to do that activity. They never really learn about devotion to the Lord. Or if they do, it's about that devotion's part of karma. In other words, their worship, like let's say so many individuals go to the temple, take darshan, leave a donation, offer prayers, and try to do some service. But for them, it's just an anga of karma. Bhakti is an anga of karma, not that it's the main thing. So for us, bhakti is the main. So even though we're performing activities of karma, it's in support of bhakti.
You're so materially motivated that you're blinded from
Yes, that's there. But the point is they still, why they're considered pious and why they're considered glorious in that aspect. Like Jarasandha is considered glorious when it comes to that, just like Karna, is that they're following the Veda. They have faith in the Veda. Like he has faith in this. Means even if they begged for my own body, he would give. So that means you have to have faith to do that. So he has faith in scriptures, faith in the Vedic culture. But it's just he has faith for the purpose of the material benefit he'll get.
Yeah, so he's missing the whole point.
Yes, he's missing the whole point, but that doesn't mean that therefore we can throw out the Vedic culture, because he's missed the point. This is generally how we'll use it. Oh, the Smartas like that, so we don't have to follow any of that. No, the Smartas, their mistake is that they don't see it connected to Krishna, but what they're doing is fine.
It's very instructive to me that although one is extremely religious, when the personal motivation is very strong, for sense gratification, that you completely miss the ultimate.
Yes, because religion, what does religion do? What does religion mean, actually? Right? It means the inherent nature of something. Right? So that means everything in the material world has a nature. Everything everywhere has a nature, but we're just discussing this side now. So it has a nature. So in this case, Kshatriya Dharma, or in other words, what's the inherent nature of a Kshatriya? You follow that Dharma, you'll get all the benefit of the Artha, Kama, and Moksha from that. So you get all the material benefit from the performance of the Dharma. Right? So people turn to religion because of the material benefit that will be gained. That's why people are religious. So that someone's religious and materialistic is not a strange thing, because that's why people approach religion anyway. Even you say, no, but he's a nice person, he's not materialistic. Where does he want to go by the effect of his religion? You'll generally see they want to go to heaven, right? A nice guy, he's not materialistic, he's not cheating, he's doing everything properly, like that. And so everyone will consider him, okay, of the congregation, he's the most religious person. But he wants to go to heaven. What will happen in heaven? He's just gonna, be sweeping the clouds to keep all the dust out and stuff like that. And, he'll come along with a wheelbarrow, pick up, little shards of lightning bolts that have kind of spread around, so no one gets cut on them and stuff. That's all. It's just a matter of who's going for it now and who's willing for it later.
Is that technically what they call Veda Vadarata?
That's there. Yes, it means anybody who's following the Veda and it's not Bhakti will be that. But at least they're better. So then we'll say, well, that's wrong. So the non-Vedic karmis are better? No, they're worse. Does that make sense? So that's the whole point. Is that it's like it'd be like saying because karma just means it's fruitive work. And so, therefore, following the religion of the activity itself will give the best result. And if that's a waste of time, then not understanding the religion, performing an activity that doesn't actually go according to the nature of the elements that you're working with, therefore it doesn't actually give the results you're looking for. How is that, comparable? So it's not like, well, you have Vedic is one hand and you have modern on the other. No, you have Vedic and then you have non-Vedic. And then you have a plethora of 8 million kinds of non-Vedic. Because Vedic means human. Non-Vedic means animal. So 8 million and 400,000 is in the human. Now we know of the 400,000, not so many of them are civilized because they don't follow the Vedic culture. So it'll be 8 million and some change. Right? And then what's left, they're following the Vedic culture. So they're not comparable. You know what I'm saying? It's like the New York Philharmonic or that annoying kid next door in his garage. You can say it's both music, but in reality, can you say? That's why one's music and one's noise. So that's why one's karma and one's vikarma. One's piety, one's sin. Piety means you followed the law. And therefore, that's why you get the result. But if we think I can get the result without the following the law, then that we may try that, but that's cheating. That's vikarma. It's like gambling. We think without work I'll get $1 million. But it doesn't work like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yes, so that's why we're pointing out that the devotee does everything for Krishna. Krishna gives he follows the Veda because that's his preferred lifestyle. In other words, the Veda is his lifestyle. And so, therefore, then the devotees follow that Vedic lifestyle because that's what's pleasing to Krishna. But it's not that the lifestyle itself is what's pleasing to Krishna. It's the medium through which the expression of bhakti is pleasing to Krishna. Right? Since you have to use some medium to express it, the Vedic is the best. But it's the bhakti that's being expressed, that's what pleases Krishna. And then the medium that he prefers it in is the Vedic. Right? So if someone doesn't know and they just, with that devotion, it still works. But they can't now make a philosophy that we don't have to follow that. If Magrari Hunter comes, I can go on hunting and I'm, this and that because, I did that and it was devotion to the Lord and like that, so we don't need to do it. No, you don't have that. It means as you advance, you give up the lower forms, right? We may start from a lifestyle of vikarma, but you bring it to karma, right? And then that's engaged in Krishna's service, so it becomes bhakti. Does that make sense? Yeah. So what we're seeing here is what Prahlad Maharaj is pointing out, because he's also from the same demon stock, is that following the religious principles but not in relationship to Krishna, then it's a waste of time. Only pure devotion is. So Jarasandha is doing all this nice stuff, but it's a waste of time because what benefit will it give to the soul? That he'll be killed in the presence of Krishna, then he'll get liberation. That's the only benefit. So because of the religious activity, he would then agree to the fight in which he will be killed in Krishna's presence by Krishna's arrangement. Then he'll be liberated. Right? But if he was just performing his Kshatriya duty and got killed on the battlefield, he's not going to get liberated. Right? So that's the whole point, is religion is important because that's human life. Human life means you practice religion. You don't practice religion, you're not human. Right? Human form, but not human life. Right? So, but if it's not connected to Krishna, then it's not actually beneficial because it's the soul who's engaging in the religious activities. So if they're not engaged in Krishna's service, then the soul has wasted their time. Because the next body will be a different religion and different like that. Makes sense?
Varna is representing, Varna is being followed by practicing Dharma, and the ashrama side is by practicing bhakti. So,
No, the ashram, see, Varna has its rules, ashram has its rules. We do both for bhakti. Ashrams also. It's just like, okay, like this. Let us say we are in T Nagar. T Nagar? You don't know T Nagar? Oh, none of our other South Indians are there. It's a nice area in Madras. Okay, so we're there, and on that street, there's two neighbors. One's an Ayar, one's an Iyengar. Okay? Now, in the morning, at the Brahma Muhurta, they both get up. They both take their bath, brush their teeth, dry themselves with a clean gamsha, put on their tilak, chant their mantras, do their puja, offer their bhoga, take the prasad. Right? So we would count that all as ashram activities.
yes.
But so now they're all both engaged in bhakti?
No. One is
But it's the same activity.
Yeah.
So in other words, bhakti is that you take the ashram dharma and varna dharma and use it in Krishna's service. We don't make so much distinction because for us, the direct activities of devotional service are included in our ashram dharma. But the point is it's only because they're there it becomes bhakti. Like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because what happens is that devotees, some of them get experience that when there is an imbalance of Varna Dharma and Ashram Dharma, that means if Ashram Dharma predominates.
If ashram dharma predominates varna dharma,
yeah,
then they become a nice devotees, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
It means they can't maintain that dog-eat-dog mood necessary to make it in the professional world. They can't come up to the swan-eat-swan level.
they face problems, financially. There was some
Problems financially, but the point is when we're talking about these individuals and they say financial problems, what do they mean by financial problems? Right? Instead of making crores, they're making, lakhs. Boo-hoo.
It's a serious.
Huh?
It's a serious step down.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's just the whole thing is like that. See, the whole point is what do they mean by it's imbalanced? Means if you have attachments to more money, then you balance it so that you get your money. But the point is what we have to understand is you're balancing between the soul and the conditioning. And so the conditioning is there, and so they get all the money and all that, and they can't take it with them. When they die, they can't take one paisa. So it doesn't matter if you're a devotee or a karmi, you can't take your money with you, right? It's a standard thing, right? It's just, does that make sense? So the point is that if they have more attachment to more facilities, because the varna creates the facilities, the maintenance.
Yes.
So if they're saying there's a lessening, does that mean they can't pay any bills or out on the street and that, or it just means they can't stay in their six bedroom bungalow? They have to go down to a 3-bedroom apartment. Is that what they mean?
That's what they mean. Because
Yes, so status. So if their status is so important to them, then adjust the balance so that they're comfortable. But in adjusting it, know that it is a step up on the material, but it's a step down in the spiritual. They can't have both. And if they want to have both, no, I'm the senior man here, but at the same time I'm very materialistic. They can't have them both. You know, you either act like a madhyam or you act like a neophyte. You know, they take it. You know, you can't say that you're doing both. So it's just you have to make your choice. So yeah, it's just the way it works. So if they're uncomfortable making less money because there's so much sadhana and going to so many programs, then make an adjustment until they are. You know, if they're going to 5 programs a night during the week, you know, then try going to 3 and see if that works. And then, you know, they're able to put in more time, and so they find what works. So it's just a matter of that they're comfortable, and that's comfortable now. Because in the future, as they become more advanced in devotional service, then they would rather put more time into the ashram than into the varna. If not, you know, sooner than later. You know, at least by the time they come to the vanaprastha stage, then that's naturally what's going to happen, just because you just can't put in that effort. Like that. So it's not that it's wrong, it's just it's right for them, but it doesn't mean what's right for them is good for everybody. If that's there, then you know, we'll bring our brahmacharis over and we'll all sit down and we'll take prasad. And if they don't eat what these brahmacharis are eating, then, you know, there's going to be trouble. You know what I'm saying? You know, at the same time, if I try to feed the brahmacharis what they eat, then there's going to be trouble. You know, so in either way, the point is everybody has their situation. So you choose your situation, what works for you right now. But trying to make a philosophy out of it and all that, that's the problem. In other words, these points that you've been bringing up for the last, you know, so many months, they're starting to philosophize on things and trying to set a standard that, you know, what I'm doing, this is the right thing. But it's not. It's right for them right now in the place where they are. Go to another city in India and it's totally wrong for them. Literally. You know what I'm saying? What they do in Pune works in Pune. It won't work in Bombay. Bombay's is more fast. Pune's too slow. And what works in Pune won't work in Delhi, won't work in Madras, it won't work in Bangalore, won't work, you know what I'm saying? So it works for them, and it works for them in their community. So in other words, they, in this particular community, at this status, it works for them and those few friends that they know. Everybody else in Pune could not care less. Literally. They really couldn't care. So they have to be able to understand this is something personal for them. It works for them. And so you have to find out how to be Krishna conscious in that situation. And for now, yes, put more into your money, get your money because you want to do this and your, you know, son's education and this, and then for that and all these different Krishna conscious things I want to go like on tier, like get your money. Get it. But as you advance, then you'll find it's not so important. So basically, the time that they want all the money is the time that they spend all the money. And by the time you spent all the money, all the kids are married and all that, and you have no money left, then it's time for vanaprastha. You don't need much anyway. Like that. So that's the perfect thing about the Vedic culture. Either you'll learn at a younger age and not worry about it so much, or you'll figure it out by the time you're 50 or something, because that's just naturally how it works anyway. So that's what's so nice about the Vedic culture. But if they're going to claim that what they're doing, that's the perfection for everybody, that's where there's a mistake. That's why Varnashram is there. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes.
In the light of develop these levels of consciousness, so demons, they still fall in pranamoy?
It's still a bit more pranamoy-ish, because the point is what is their duty? Because that's not the thing. It's about social status. So that's the artha that you get from dharma. In other words, if I give in charity here, he's thinking, then he'll get the benefit of being famous. So that's the artha. So it is more artha rather than dharma. What is my duty? In other words, if I perform my duty and by doing that nicely, I'm going to get a little less money, then that's a better position than going a little outside of my duty and making more money, even though it'll have a better social status. But social status amongst who? Amongst the karmis? What do we care? Unless you need it for business. But then you only have to maintain only how much is they're going to take you seriously in business. You know, like I said, that one devotee told me about I keep a fancy car because otherwise they don't take me seriously when I show up for, business meetings. Like that, so they must see these things. And I told that to another professional, and he thought it was funny. He thought, well, who cares? And then once for fun, they thought, let's try it. And when he landed at the airport and you rent a car, instead of running those little compacts, he got, one of those big monster, whatever's the biggest size, 4-door Mercedes you could get. And sure enough, they took him more seriously. He was shocked. That, wow, okay, if that's all it takes, instead of spending, $600, bucks to hire the car, he spends, $1,200, but instead of making $10,000, he makes $20,000. Hey, it's worth it, so he does it, So that's the thing. But if it's amongst the status amongst devotees that they think, no, we have this status and we're this and that, but it's a material status, then that's really a waste of time. I mean, absolute waste of time, because you're neither getting money from it and you're not getting bhakti from it. Now then how is that status? You know what I'm saying? You should get one or the other. But it's like, okay, the devotees, all that, so amongst the devotees you're doing business and you get more money because they think you're in a better, material stat. Okay, but they're getting the money from the karmis, right? And they're not worried about it, right? And so why would you worry that the devotees think it's a better material standard? Maybe it's time to find new friends, There's plenty of so. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, because the whole point is we always have to see is it's always going to come back. We're trying to please Krishna. That's what makes the whole thing work. That's what makes religion worthwhile. Religion's going to give you all the material facilities you want, or at least deserve according to your karma. But the point is that unless you please Krishna with that, it's lost at the end of this life. Right? Anything gained is lost. The piety may go with you, but the facilities are gone. But you serve Krishna with it, then you get that eternal benefit, and that doesn't go. Because that karma, that piety, in next life you'll burn it off, it's gone. But bhakti never goes. So therefore, that's why in it you have to calculate the bhakti balance, but you also, you have to see your dharma, artha, and kama, and moksha according to what's their needs. But we should see that the material, the purusharthas, are subservient to the actual purushartha, which is bhakti. If that's seen, then you can balance it nicely and you won't have any of these problems. And they if they're discussing amongst themselves that, yes, I tried doing that, but at this point, but it was a little difficult for me because I had so many needs and all that, so I had to take care of that. But now, having chanted, and 10 years later, I find I don't have to think like that anymore. I don't have to do. So now I put more time into this. Then it's a personal discussion. Then it's guhyamakati prichati. But if they're preaching it, no, you don't have to, it's this and that, then that's nonsense. That's a waste of time. Not only their time, but everyone else's. See, when it says Shramevi Kevalam, that means you're wasting your time. But when you preach it, now you're wasting yours and everyone else's, so it's worse. Does that make sense? Yeah. So since they want to be happy, bhakti is the only thing that'll make them happy. This other thing is only because of their conditioning. They think that this makes us happy. So therefore, if it's not against your position and your service, then you go along with it. The opportunity is there to make more money, and that you do it. Right? But if it's going to impact on your devotion, on your family life and that, then what's the benefit anyway? You get more money and your family walks out on you, what's the point? Because if they walk out on you, you're going to lose it anyway.
Even more.
Yeah, especially in California. Yeah, even more. Because, you understand? In other words, if the family's together, then there's a certain amount of reserve that they want for security. But if the family breaks up, they want that reserve for security for themselves, not for you. So yes, you'll lose more. So if you're not maintaining the family, but if you're not devotional, how do you maintain all this and be Krishna conscious? So you actually have to look at it from that point of view. The Krishna consciousness is the first point, then the family is the second point, then the occupation is the third, right? Because occupation maintains ashram. And in ashram you have the family aspect, but the most important of that is the devotional. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's the whole thing. You have to see, that's how you look at it. There's a weight gradation. If you take them all as equal, then it won't work. You have to be able to grade. Okay.
With the comment that you made, you're worrying about those, they're worrying about, instead of making crores, they'll be making lakhs. Whatever your sources are very much correct. Just 19 hours ago, one devotee from that group hunted my number down and gave me a call 19 hours ago, worrying that is he going to get the 3 crore rupee car? Maybe he'll have to suffice for a 15 lakh rupee car. He's very worried about this fact.
Yes, that's really painful, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Tough life, huh? You know.
What was his word?
He's worried he can't get the 3.5 crore car. He'll have to get a 15 or 20 lakh car. You know, it's a big, a big difference in prestige. Like that, you know. And you have to. There's much more in that 3.5 lakh crore car, because the anxiety level that's there in riding in that car, that it can get scratched, someone will steal it, and the guy doesn't know what he's doing or anything like that, is so much greater than the 15 lakh car. You know. What to do? Yeah, it's just a matter of that's how it works. It's just what they'll be comfortable in. Because the point is unless it's going to be good for business, what's the point? Unless he spends all day in the car, in traffic, then the fancier car will be a little bit more comfortable. But then he just has to look for what's the most comfortable car, not which is the most expensive. Because sometimes they don't go together. Like a Lamborghini is more expensive, but not at all comfortable.
Become a taxi driver.
Sorry?
Should become a taxi driver.
Yeah.
All day in the car.
Yeah, and then he can make money. Since he's going there anyway, you can take people with you and make some money, right? And it's AC, right? So you pay for the AC and they get it, like that. So.
Win-win situation.
Yeah. That's an idea. Yeah. It's just you'll pick up people in the line that you're going. You won't go off the line because it's like, is it Rat Deka Kole Becha? You'll see the Roth and you'll sell bananas. So yeah. Sukadeva Goswami continued, thus making up his mind, the generous Jarasandha addressed Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima. O learned Brahmanas, choose whatever you wish. I will give it to you, even if it is my own head. Right? So now he's come to that mood, of that proper mood, of that charity and that feeling and all that. And so because of that, then now this is the point where he's supposed to be. Yes?
I'm not quite sure. Why is this? This is like a theater. Like they dress up.
It's called pastimes.
He understands.
This is have you ever heard of what is it called? What's it called? Taming of the Shrew. It's a play in which there's a play being performed.
It's double.
Yeah. They also do that in Chaitanya Chandradoy Natakam. Is that I think the third act, they do a play within the play. Lord Chaitanya and his associates do a play at I think Srivas Thakur's house, because when they go there, that's one of the things they do is do dramas. And so then, how you say, different persons, they all take the different parts within Krishna's pastimes. It's all Lord Chaitanya Leela, right? All within the pastime. I think Advaitacharya takes the mood of Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya takes Radharani, and different ones are different personalities in the pastime. And they do a drama within the drama.
Yeah. So that's okay?
Why not?
So they having fun basically.
Yeah, but they're getting the work done, because otherwise how else do you get single combat with Jarasandha unless you do this? Because if they go out, if they pull up with their army outside his palace, say we want singular commandate between you and his, forget it, So Uddhava has suggested it, and so then they're following his suggestion. So as Kshatriyas, they're following the advice of the Brahmin. But that as a pastime within the that's fine. So that's all. It's just like Krishna, his pastimes in Braja, you can say are the natural pastime. Then that he expands and he performs pastimes in Dwarka, then that's a pastime within the pastime. Then he's in Vaikuntha, then it even expands more. So there's all these different aspects, because it's Krishna who's doing these pastimes. So it's just, it gives taste, it works. You can see here, it brings out the Kshatriya, proper religious Kshatriya nature in Jarasandha, instead of the, more evil side, like that, like when he comes and attacks Mathura or stuff like that, and, or he catches all these kings to, offer them a sacrifice. So it brings out his best side. And now on that religious platform, he's going to interact with Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima. So they're going to follow the rules. In the evening, he's going to entertain them, and he's going to take care of them like guests, proper guests and that, and so it'll all go on very nicely. So it's at the best for Krishna's service. He may not be so devotional in doing it, but it still has that position.
I'm just project on our own, relationships. If we do like that, we're not sure what will be the outcome.
But the point is that the soul, which is the eternal servant of Krishna, is within a body, and then playing the role of that is not already a drama. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's already a drama. It's not that this is real and then there's a drama. Because I've had that come up in class where I'm talking about it and you play the role. It's like a drama. And then somebody raises their hand, no, but I want the real thing. I want people to interact on real, relationships, not this, put on because of, the obligations or duties. But the point is it's all put on anyway, because the soul's not the body. So the facility you have are elements from the universal form. You're familiar with a theater? Yes, so then they have a room where they have all the props, all the dresses, all the things like that. So that's the universal form. So for your part, you go in and get this thing and that thing and all these different things and this makeup and that makeup, so you have your character. That's all it is the body we have is made up of according to our previous activities. Therefore, that's why Krishna says, according to what they're thinking, their mentality, they get a certain nose, ears, eyes. That's all provided by the universal form. And so then within that, now they're supposed to play the duties of that form. Just like you're dressed up as Hamlet, you should play the part of Hamlet. If you start speaking the lines of King Lear or something, then people think it's a bit strange. You understand? So that's how it works. So then people can say, well, I'm not this costume. I can do whatever I want. Yeah, you can, but it's going to ruin the play. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You break out into a song or something. It's going to mess it up. So that's the whole thing, is that's why it's there. It is all a drama. So the point is here we're given the opportunity to practice within that by practicing in Krishna's Leela, by following the rules of the material world that are given by the proper following the universal form. The situations from Garbhodakshay Vishnu and the rules of what you're supposed to do in your position from Paramatma. Right? So from those two aspects of the universal form, that situates you, and then what role you're supposed to play. Then playing that nicely, even the karmis are doing that, but they're still engaged in Krishna's drama. But they don't know it, so they don't get any devotional benefit from it. Right? But the devotees know it's to please Krishna, so they do it to please Krishna, and so therefore they get the devotional benefit. And they can interact with the karmis because it's the same drama. That's why if everyone's following the Vedic culture, it's easily one drama. Otherwise, then it's a little strange. Then it is kind of like, what do you call it? The wall fell down between two sets, and you have two different performances bumping into each other. It's saying one's a waltz and the other ones are out there with their swashbuckling pirates or something. It's just a little strange, but hard to dance with one wooden leg and the other. It doesn't work very good.
One in the past, one in the future.
Yeah, whatever. It's just, yeah. It's not, yeah.
Why didn't they just ask for his head? That's it. It's a pastime.
Yeah, but the point is then the pastime's over.
You check their
Yeah, okay, it's like this. Okay, there's that fancy thing that you may be interested in, and it just shows up and you have it. It's just there, just right there. No box, no bag, no, wow, we got this and that, no fanfare, no shopping, no talking about it. Just it's there. Okay, nice, you have it. Okay, now that just goes where, now what's the next one to create the inspiration? You understand? So it's all the fanfare that goes with it. Yeah? Yeah, so that's the whole point, is that, it's like getting the head. It means by him agreeing to this fight, he has given his head. But if the fight's going to go as long as Krishna and all that, it goes nicely for the pastime. And then at some point, that'll be enough. Right? Because bhima, how strong is he? How often does he get to fight with someone the strength of 10,000 elephants?
Right.
Yeah, it means this time with jarasandha, once with Kichaka, that was quite quick. This one at least he gets some, fighting satisfaction out of it. And that's it. He doesn't fight with Dhritarashtra. He doesn't.
As powerful as 10,000 elephants?
Duryodhana. Yes, but I'm just saying that's it. So that's 3 times. So then, so here, so you're giving that satisfaction. So just seeing is that you have a point. If you go up into the pastime, it's like, huh? And if you go down into the, the secondary and all that, then it goes. So you gotta find out right.
Maharaj, it seems that actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are many dramas.
Yeah.
By devotees,
Yeah, done by the. It's all part of the thing, because hearing and chant, remembering about the Lord's pastimes, they do dramas. We even see that even within Krishna's pastimes, then the cowherd boys and that, they'll do dramas. Who's the king and this and that, or they're playing the games of the police and the thieves and that. And so there's the some boys are the sheep. Then there's the burglars and the police trying to catch them, and then Vyoma Sura on top of that. So they're having a pastime with that pastime within a pastime. So it's just fun, like that. Yeah. So.
And usually in ISKCON, at least many years ago, it was a lot of drama.
There was lots of, especially 60s, 70s, and that was standard. Some temples, every Sunday there was a program, there was a drama. It was part of the Sunday program.
It's before the internet era.
Sorry?
Before the internet era.
Yes. But they would do that as part of, still a live performance and an internet performance, they don't. Yeah. So, and they would, because they always do it, they could many times there'd be no rehearsal.
Yes,
It'd just be how you say, ex tempo?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's that they all know the story and they decide who's going to be who and this and that and okay, what basically we'll do, and then they just start like that. I know Indradundamars, they do that all regularly. At Jagai Madai and other pastimes. It's just they're there in the kirtan, Harinama in the street, and then suddenly they decide, okay, you're in this and that, and they just start the thing and just start going, and it's just, yeah. So it's a nice thing if you can do, but then one has to be, how you say, not overwhelmed by false ego and whether you're going to be great and if you're going to get an Oscar afterwards or like that, or excuse me. What is it? The Palme d'Or? That more.
Cannes.
Huh?
In Cannes.
Yeah.
Actually, many devotees have been to this type of place for book distribution.
For book distribution.
Yes, when they were having a big, we can say, Palmo d'Or like that.
Oh.
There are many influent people coming here, getting books. So it was a very good place for doing book distribution.
Okay. Yeah.
And especially the ladies, they were very determined actually.
Yeah. No, if you had the right situation where that they're supposed to be broad-minded, you know. So that's the thing, they're broad-minded. Whether they're theistic or not, that's another thing. But they're broad-minded, so they'll take it because it's cultural. That's the whole thing. That's why I always get bewildered when they talk about the intellectual class and they can't accept anything from the Vedic culture. It's kind of like, you call those people cultured or educated? It means where I come from, those would be considered, how you say, Cretans or Philistines or, savages. That's how we would call them. Because if you can't accept other cultures and appreciate other cultures, then you're a savage. We don't care what degree you have. But somehow or another, this idea that, no, you have a degree, you're a culture. No, they're two different things. And does that make sense? Because it's not the circle we moved in. Our town, it was either you were either a farmer or you were a professor at the university. So there was plenty of, and that's the way everybody would be considered. Like that. So it's a different thing. Culture is another thing. It's just like in New York, taxi drivers appreciate culture. They can go to an opera and stuff. They appreciate these things. So it's just you have this level of culture that cuts beyond all these other things. So that's why I never really understand these whole things where they're talking about this kind of corporate or so-called quasi-intellectual thing that people won't appreciate. It's like, to me, those are really narrow-minded people. I don't understand how they consider themselves universal and liberal, because those who are like that would never deal like that. They would always appreciate and listen and talk. You come up dressed differently, they wouldn't bat an eye. They wouldn't talk, what's the mud on your forehead? That's weird and like that. They would just talk, you're something different, you're interesting. Because everybody else is the same. This guy's different. They want to hear. But you have to be able to deal in a cultured way. So culture doesn't mean it has to be modern. Cultured means cultured. It's just like cooking means cooking. And then you can use that on any cuisine you want. But if you don't know cooking, you can't cook anything. So if you're not cultured, then you can't apply it in a particular culture. Does that make sense? So yes, you'll find that these kind of things that they would be, because these are supposed to be your most intellectual, most liberal, most broad-minded, most kind of forward-thinking people. And so then if you can deal nicely, then you would do very, very good there. So they can do that anywhere. So maybe they figured it out there because of the general culture, but most other parts of the world, they don't seem to understand this one. Individuals, yes, but as a group, no. Yeah. Yeah, because the point is the culture is what Krishna engages in his pastimes. So that's the common point. If a cultured person, devotees are cultured, they engage in Krishna service. They're cultured, not engaged in Krishna service. The culture is the common point. Now you can show that what you're getting from the culture on the material platform won't be as nice as the culture being applied in the spiritual platform, because they are frustrated. That's guaranteed. So therefore, if you can show them that maintaining their culture, they can get that eternal satisfaction they're looking for through devotional service, they're smart, they'll take it. So they're actually intelligent, they're actually cultured. And these others, then they're not really intelligent or cultured. Right? They may have degrees, but yeah, so what? It's work. We have to, give them that. But as far as culture and that, then that's not their field. Right?
But you see now, in the culture, you need to have some value.
Value, yes,
and
value.
also to think, like to appreciate philosophy,
Yes.
real science.
Yes,
Like
yes.
that.
So if you can present the philosophy in a scientific way, like we're discussing,
Yes.
then people will accept that. that class of people, they will take this. Means what we're discussing now, this level, you could talk it to them. They won't understand really, but they see the science there. They can see that it has answers. It's consistent. They will see, and they'll be attracted. But we think it's by talking New Age and all that. It says that they hire New Age people, like that. It's not. Because if New Age is actually your life, you can accommodate this, right? But if New Age, but if it's only a fad, then you can't. So in other words, if the fad's New Age, then you do it. You can't accommodate anything else. But actual New Age people, they can accommodate Krishna, no problem. Like that. So, yeah, what to do? Okay. The Supreme Lord said, "O exalted King," right? Because he's acting according to religious principles. "Give us battle in the form of a duel," right? So that means just two people, right? "If you think it fitting," right? Because we've talked religion. And so therefore, when he says, if you think it's fitting, now he can't now suddenly go into a political stance. He has to look at it from Dharma, because that's how they've approached him. That's how they're dealing. They're Brahmins, he's a Kshatriya, they've already glorified him on the principle of it. He's already come to that point of appreciating it. So now, then if you think it's fitting, because that's always the point, is something can be asked only if it's actually appropriate. Right? But, of course it is. Right? Uddhava wouldn't come up with something that not. "We are princes and have come to beg a fight." Right? So now they before didn't say they were Brahmins. He called them Brahmins. Right? Because of their dress and how they were coming and the time and how they were interacting. But now they are saying, "We are princes, and so we have come to beg a fight. We have no other request to make of you." Right? They don't want anything else like this. "Over there is Bhima, son of Pritha, and this is his brother Arjuna. Know me to be their maternal cousin, Krishna, your enemy." Right? So now that he's on that religious platform, he's dealt in that, and he's already made the promise that he will give whatever, even if it's his own head. Then now they can deal in a very straightforward way. So they don't continue this cunning. But you see as how he's doing it is still in a religious straightforward. He doesn't switch into an inimical way of dealing and a nasty. It still has that same culture. So the culture is being maintained throughout the duty. Sometimes we say, "How can you do this?" No, you do it, it'll work. We can say, "I'm doing it, no one's responding." But that doesn't mean that you won't be happy doing it. Like that. But if you're doing it nicely, appropriate for the situation, people will appreciate it. They may think it's a bit over the top, but they'll like it. Yeah. Yes.
Nowadays, it seems that the emotion should follow the situation. But here we see in many instances actually that how it develops is that emotion is separated from what's happening, and this is very bewildering for the modern people.
Yes.
Because then, if you straight, if you open, then the emotion should follow. Or if you different.
Okay. Yes. No, I see.
The emotional side is overwhelming. Basically.
Yes, but
here we don't see that.
No, because do they not experience full emotion?
They do, but they don't show it.
Yes, but the point is so therefore, in this, what is the field? The intelligence or the mind?
The intelligence.
Yes, and so therefore the mind will be fully satisfied by working in that field, because the intelligence will give the best options. Right? So you can't actually have a wrong choice. You have a variety, there's not a wrong choice.
Yeah. Because by modern scenario, this kind of thing, people would call it, hypocrisy. Like, you come in, then this, then that, then...
That means they'll call it hypocrisy simply because they don't actually know what human life is. The thing is they want the experience of human life, but they actually don't know what it is. It's just like we're calling you to come over and come inside the little bistro to get something to eat. But, that means, you're restricting us on that. We're here on the street. We're free. We just, pick up anything we can find and eat it. We're not, bound by your rules of going in there and standing in line and paying money and working according to the menu and all. We're free. But are they actually can they be satisfied? So that's the whole difficulty, is that it's the intelligent way to do something, and then the fun part is the modern society claims they're intelligent, and the Vedic culture is the sentimental one.
Yeah.
So we can see from here all this is symptoms of the mode of ignorance, because mode of ignorance always makes religion into irreligion, irreligion into religion. So we always have to be careful of that. That's how it works. Is that? Yeah. But the point is you see according to what will work. So if there would be a natural thing, because it's also according to the relationships and all that. So then they can function in this way. So as Brahmins, they can talk in a particular way. And as a Kshatriya, they would respond in a particular way. That now that's done, then now they can move into as Kshatriyas to Kshatriya. So it's not that the situation is there. There's duties and things that go along with that. And then from that comes naturally the emotion. It's just like, I have a particular kitchen, I have particular ingredients. So that limits what I can cook. You know what I'm saying? And so, but the tasting of what I've cooked is going to come after I've cooked. But that's based on what I can do. Right? But it's going to consider who I'm cooking for. Right? So you put all that together, then you'll have something to taste. Now, if you just go into the kitchen and start, rip the top off of the tomato, box and just start drinking it and start chewing on the raw pasta, then you can do that, and I'm sure it'll get all kinds of emotions and reactions and stuff like that. And what are you doing? And I'm hungry. What do you want? And, all that kind of stuff. You could make it into a nice, at least American drama. But, it probably wouldn't go down in the European like that, So the whole point comes out is that the field is there. So they have Jarasandha, his position and everything like that. They can only actually deal with him in single combat. So that they can't do from a distance. They have to do it from there. They can't be anywhere in his kingdom. They have to be at his place. They have to be in front of him. Because if it goes to anybody else, then there's all this discussion and it won't work out. As soon as he knows it's Krishna, this and that, he'll just get his, fight. So then by this arrangement, then it can be done. And then this is the way, because you want him to agree, so therefore you have to put him in the proper religious state. And that religious state has to be according to a Kshatriya, and a Kshatriya of his caliber. So therefore you're going to be quoting Bali Maharaj and that kind of persons. Right? Because he'll relate to that, and he'll try to do that. He won't say, well, that's them, but I'm not. I can't do that. So forget it. But so therefore it all matches. So the whole scene together, then that makes the complete package. So that's the difference. Is in the modern, it's just my feelings now, and the guy's there, what I want to say, and this other takes the whole thing. So that's why they think it's artificial, because I don't have the sense control and the knowledge and the social etiquette to be able to do that. So they'll say it's artificial. But the point is like let's say you have the, kind of. Where you put them, it's just a generic, the kind of the educated, professional, or a variety, maybe not so educated and liberal, middle class. They're getting by, they're paying the bills, they're doing something they don't necessarily want to do, but they're doing it, and they're like this, and they get together with friends, and when they sit and talk, then to them, these people in more high society are all phony. Because from what they do, they couldn't do that, because it's not the nature. But at the same time as one starts talking, the other one starts talking over them. You ever seen that, where you talk and the other guy starts talking louder because then he doesn't want you to overtalk him? But in that higher society, they won't do that. You're talking, they'll let you finish. Even if they're like smokes coming out of their ears. They'll let the other guy finish, because when he's finished, then he has to listen to you now, what you're going to say. So the self-control that needs, the charity that it needs, the hard work it needs, because they'll put in their 8 hours a day. They don't want to work 12. But those other guys, they'll put in 12. Committed. They put in 8 hours only because they have to. So they have qualities that these other persons that are criticizing them can't do, but they'll say they're phony. But at the same time as their educated liberal thing, that's also phony. From you got the guys that are sitting down there on the street corner on, falling apart furniture and all that. You know what I'm saying? And that they'll call these guys phonies because they think they're so smart and intellectual and liberal and that, but in the real world, what is it, So that's the whole point, is that when you're dealing on the non-Vedic platform especially, then all these different species of life can't relate to each other. It's phony. You know what I'm saying? For say, the dog wants to catch something. It starts barking and running. Right? That's what it does. Does a cat do that? No, it hides, it sneaks up, it makes the things, it makes the whole strategy and all that, and then it pounces. So for the dog, that would be artificial. But for the cat to have to be out there and make noise and run around after it, then that wouldn't be, not at their size. If they're a lion, yes, then that's what they do. Tigers, they still stalk. But lions don't stalk. They get out there, they see the opportunity, they roar, it's a challenge, and now chase is on. Because that's their nature. So that's the whole thing, is that each one, whatever one does, that their nature, another nature will say it's artificial or it's not that. So it's not that it is artificial, it just doesn't match your nature. That's why only the Varnashram system can accommodate all these natures. No modern system can accommodate all of those. You have some societies can get a broader range, some more narrow range. You know what I'm saying? So they'll have some common thread, so as long as you're on the thread, then they can handle more or less within it, but you have to be on that thread. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So even the good actors are those who control the emotions.
Yes, they have to control, because otherwise then, when you go and you're there and you bite on the sandwich and somebody's just filled it full of chili sauce and that, you have to keep your composure. You got to be good. You really got to be good. Yes.
Where this, it seems that in whatever you describe, is always people don't mind their own business. They always want to just speak about others.
Yes, that's the whole point. So the Vedic thing is that since you want to talk about others, then, in a negative way and yourself in a positive way, then Vedic is just saying reverse that. Talk about others in a positive way and see yourself, if there's any fault, is with yourself. And since we like to talk about others, why just any old others? Why not God as the other? And those connected to God, because then you get an eternal benefit for your proclivity to talk about others. Right? As it is now, people talk about others and they simply, you get no pious benefit from that, let alone spiritual. But here, you're talking about others, and that happens to be God and his pastimes and all that. You get the spiritual benefit, and you got to talk about others. Right? So it works out. That's the point of the Vedic. Works so nicely. It means when we're talking here Vedic, we mean what Prabhupada gave us, means Daiva Varnashram, means the devotional. Like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sukadeva Goswami continued, thus challenged, Magadharaj laughed out loud and contemptuously said, all right, you fools, I will give you a fight. So now he snaps back into his position. He's given, and okay, this is what it is, that's just what it is, no problem. Because they could have asked for anything. Right? The BBT purport says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Jarasandha felt inner satisfaction because he thought that his enemies had been humiliated by having to dress like brahmanas to approach him, right? Because they're thinking there's no other way. But they're just looking at the bigger picture. So they're getting something bigger done, so it doesn't matter that you have to go through. It's just one of the things you do. Thus, the Acharya understands Jarasandha's mind as follows, quote, "O weak ones, forget the botheration of fighting. Why not just accept my head?" Right? He says, By dressing yourself as brahmanas begging charity, you have made your heroism set like the sun, right? Because Kshatriyas don't beg, right? But if somehow you have lost your courage, I will give you battle. Oh, not lost your courage, I will give you battle. Because otherwise, you can just ask for your head and he'll give his head. And he'll go down in history as that he gave his head to these Kshatriyas who couldn't even come as Kshatriyas. They're so weak and all that, and they couldn't fight. And so he just gave it to them. Right? Yeah. The Acharya finally points out that the goddess of learning intends the phrase Amarshito Mandaha to read Amarshito the same thing. So it's just that you put a mark in there. So the saying of it, and you say Amarshito Mandaha, but if it was Amarshito Amanda, because the O followed by the A, you drop the A, so they're putting that in, so you have that in there. So, in other words, Lord Krishna and the Pandavas are Mandaha, never foolish. Right? So he's saying, all right, you who are never foolish, I will give you a fight. Right? And that is why they chose the best tactic for doing away once and for all with the cruel Jarasandha. Because it's the only way it's going to get rid of him. Like that. But at the same time as he doesn't know that they know. Like that. Jarasandha continued, but I will not fight with you, Krishna, for you are a coward. Your strength abandoned you in the midst of battle, and you fled your own capital of Mathura to take shelter in the sea. Right? So he fled Mathura and went to and built his capital of Mathura, which is known and renowned, and then went off and built something in the middle of the sea. So you're a coward. We had a fight there, you could have defended and all that, but no, you ran off like that. As for this one, Arjuna, he is not as old as I, nor is he very strong. Right? He's a good bowman, but not physically strong. Since he is no match for me, he should not be the contender. Right? So he's not insulting him, he's just saying he's inappropriate. Krishna is insulting. That's why Krishna said, and here's Bhima, here's Arjuna, and then there's me, your enemy. And then, so he deals in that way, yeah. Bhima, however, is as strong as I am, right? Because those who are as strong as 10,000 elephants happen to know who else is that strong, right? Because everybody knows there's 5 people that strong. And so he knows Bhima's that strong, so, yeah. Having said this, Jarasandha offered Bhimasena a huge club, took up another himself, and went outside the city, right? So he didn't just take up a regular club that other Kshatriyas used. He took up a huge club that only someone who's as strong as 10,000 elephants could use, because otherwise, what's the point of the fight? In other words, someone with the strength of 10,000 elephants fighting with someone with the strength of 10,000 elephants. Now that's a match. That's a fight. That's going down in history, which it is. It's right here, right?
So the club must match.
Yeah, the club should match. The people should match. Everything should match. Because they could have done with small ones, but that is, like that. It's like it'd be like the 2 big Kshatriyas, and they pull out toothpicks and they start, ha, your toothpick broke. See my prowess. Yeah, so that's, yes. The 2 heroes thus began battling each other on the level fighting grounds outside the city, right? Because there was around there'll be level grounds for there to be a fight. Because otherwise, how do you defend and all that? Because if it's not level, can you see your enemy? No, because if there's all kinds of trees and this, so for a distance between the city and the forest, you want level plain ground. One, you can do all your farming, cows can be grazed there, whatever it is like that. So where they're growing potatoes and cabbages, they're not fighting there, right? That only happens in Poland, right? When the Russians come in one side and the Germans the other. Then their cabbage patch gets a problem. But we're talking here, right? Yeah. And so here's that they're going to have huge places for grazing cows and all that. And if they want to do any kind of things outside the city in a big thing, they can do it out there, or their army wants to go do things. But that's there. So one, it's an advantage for the other, but it's an advantage for you, more of an advantage for you because you're in a fort. They have 1 bowman and you have 1 bowman, but you in a fort, your bowman's worth 100 of theirs. Does that make sense? So therefore, even though the flat field may be in one sense good for them on one level, it's better for you. But not having it even makes it better for them, harder for you. Right? So therefore they go outside in that place. So we can see even the cities, how they're set up. They're set up in the proper way like this. Like that. Maddened with the fury of combat, they struck each other with their lightning bolt-like clubs. So they had to be very strong. They can't be regular ones. Like that one that was brought for Bhima. I forget who brought it for him. But there's one pastime where Bhima gets a club. When Arjuna? Oh, for after this. Oh, okay. So he brought back that club. Rishaparva. Wow. Okay, he's a strong one. Because he's a Danava. So they generally tend to be more kind of powerful and like that than the Daityas. Daityas tend to be more refined. And the Danavas tend to be more big. Yeah. So he brought back a club that was equal to 100,000 other clubs. Because these clubs, even though they're so strong, you hit them against each other, a stronger club will break the weaker one because they're so strong. Like that. So you have to have a club that can handle being hit with the strength of 10,000 elephants. So that's why then they were with lightning bolt-like clubs. It means it's very special how they're built and they're so strong. As they skillfully circled left and right, like actors dancing on a stage, so another drama within this drama, of the drama, right? The fight presented a magnificent spectacle, right? Because both of them, so their strength is there, but that means both of them are very, very expert at this. And so when anything is taken to the expert level, the element of art comes out. And so the art form of how they're stepping and how they're moving and circling around each other, going to the left, going to the right, swinging and all these different countering, it's like a dance. So you see sometimes even in the modern kind of context that you have sometimes when one country comes and controls another that has a known martial arts skill, they generally ban that martial art. So those who really know it so well, they turn it into a dance form. And then they do the dance, and the dance form becomes popular, and then those who are controlling the company even invite them to bring a troupe to perform that dance in front of them, and they watch and enjoy. They don't know that these are all martial arts. But the point is that it gets to that level, it's so nice. It all becomes, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Even the guys laying bricks and stuff, but there are guys that do it so well, it's like art. You can just watch it, it's so nice, right? So this way, then it's a magnificent spectacle. How you say magnifique?
Magnifique. Spectacle, magnifique.
Spectacle, magnifique. Yes, it sounds even better, right? Like that. When Jarasandha's and Bhimasena's clubs loudly collided, O king, the sound was like the impact of big tusks of two fighting elephants, or the clash of a thunderbolt in a flashing electric storm. They swung their clubs at each other with such speed and force that as the clubs struck their shoulders, hips, feet, hands, thighs, and collarbones, the weapons were crushed and broken like branches of arca trees, with which two enraged elephants furiously attack each other. Their clubs thus ruined, those great heroes among men angrily pummeled each other with their iron-hard fists. So they would use the clubs until the clubs would break. Then they would just use their fists. So that means their bodies were so strong that even these great clubs couldn't damage them, couldn't break them, Yeah. As they slapped each other, the sound resembled the crash of elephants colliding or harsh thunderclaps, because just the punch means you have the variety. I think here it doesn't say, but in Mahabharata it tells the different hand kinds of fists they were using. So some are open, some are clinched, some have partial, some this and that. So it's all these different techniques, depending upon the situation where they're hitting and what's open and all that. So they would do, so it would make so much sound, right?
When Krishna was wrestling with Chandan Mystic that time, Chakravarti Thakur explained.
Yes, then there's explained, yes. So you see is that, so it's a whole science, and that being applied, then it becomes very wonderful, but it is fighting. This is not just a sport fighting, right? It's not that afterwards then they're getting points, and at the end of the day who wins the match, and like that. It's like it's a fight in which you can kill the other person, but they're both so good and so strong that they can't. They're so equally matched. As they slapped each other, the sound resembled the crash of elephants colliding or harsh thunderclaps. As they thus fought, this contest between opponents of equal training, strength, and stamina reached no conclusion. And so they kept on fighting, right? Because you would think that one would get worn out, one has better technique. You just keep doing the technique and find their weakness, and after a while you figure out, and then you attack. So that's their strength. They'll get weak. Like that. You have your strength, even though they have good technique, but your technique has more strength, so it'll overpower. Or they will weaken, and then in that way your stamina is better, you'll defeat. But it's the same for all of them, for both of them. So then they just keep fighting because there's no conclusion. O king, without any let up, they just kept fighting. So they're not stopping for a break or stuff like that. They just keep going. Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book. At the end of each day's fighting, they lived at night as friends in Jarasandha's palace, and the next day they fought again. In this way, they passed 27 days in fighting. Also, what was it with Jambavan? It was 28 days. On the 28th day, he revealed who he was, because then he understood, something's here. So on this 28th day, then, so it seems 27 days, like that, and then. On the 28th day, Bhimsena told Krishna, "My dear Krishna, I must frankly admit that I cannot conquer Jarasandha." Right? So for 27 days he thought he could. So that means either there's so much passion in that he thinks he can do, or there's so much technique that now he's used everything, and now it's not going to work.
Maybe this both.
Could be both, yeah. So there's something about 27, right? Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, Lord Krishna knew the secret of his enemy Jarasandha's birth and death, and also how he had been given life by the demoness Jara. Considering all this, Lord Krishna imparted his special power to Bhima. Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book that Lord Krishna, I guess that's part of this, okay? Okay. So that Lord Krishna knew the mystery of the birth of Jarasandha. Jarasandha was born in two different parts from two different mothers. When his father saw that the baby was useless, he threw the two parts into the forest, where they were later found by a witch named Jara, who was skilled in the black arts. She managed to join the two parts of the baby from top to bottom. Knowing this, Lord Krishna therefore also knew how to kill him.
What a royal upbringing.
Royal upbringing means?
I see what a royal upbringing. Thrown in the forest.
No, that's because babies, you don't burn them, or that. They're generally put in the forest and that, or also snake bite victims and stuff like that, or they're put on, like you sometimes see in the Ganga, they'll be on a banana boat with a mosquito net, because there are sometimes people who know the mantras that can bring them back to life. So just in case, they do that.
But he didn't have a typical upbringing in the palace.
No, after that, then Jara brought him to the palace.
Oh.
Like that, after like that, and when she put her back, she just thought, hey, kid, I can do this, and it worked, so cool. And then she knew how, much the queen wanted a son, and this and that, and then she put it all together, and then she came. That's why then he was named Jarasandha, rather than, huh?
That's what she asked. That's the only thing she asked.
That he may be named that, but the point is they respected that because of what she's done, right? Otherwise he'd have some other name, but he's Jara.
Past time, like the king, he asked for he performed the sacrifice to get a son from the sage. The sage gives him one one fruit, and he cuts in. He told give to your main wife. Then he cuts into two and gives to both the wives.
Yeah, so they each get half. It's not that they'll each get a full son. Now, just imagine if he had 4 wives.
Jara would be powerless too.
He had to put them all together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You end up something like out of The Simpsons or something like that. Yeah. So.
That's why they get half.
Yeah, so the point is if he had done what he should have given that to his main queen, then he would have just gotten one son. And he wouldn't have had this weakness, but whatever. That's the way it worked out. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued. Oh, did we read the end?
Yes.
Okay. No, knowing this, Lord Krishna therefore knew how to kill him, right? So that's why he knew the both. How he was born, how he was put together, so that means that's also how to kill him, right? Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued. Having determined how to kill the enemy, that Lord of infallible vision gave a sign to Bhima by tearing in half a small branch of a tree. Understanding this sign, mighty Bhima, the best of fighters, seized this opportunity, his opponent by the feet, and threw him to the ground. Bhima pressed down on one leg with his foot while grabbed Jarasandha's other leg in his hands, and just as a great elephant might break the branch of a tree, Bhima tore Jarasandha apart from the anus upward. The king's subjects then saw him lying in 2 separate pieces, each with a single leg, thigh, testicle, hip, shoulder, arm, eye, eyebrow, and ear, and with half a back and chest. With the death of the Lord of Magadha, a great cry of lamentation arose, while Arjuna and Krishna congratulated Bhima by embracing him. The immeasurable Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sustainer and benefactor of all living beings, coronated Jarasandha's son, Sahadeva, as the new ruler of the Magadhas. The Lord then freed all the kings Jarasandha had imprisoned. Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book. Although Jarasandha was killed, neither Krishna nor the 2 Pandava brothers made a claim to the throne, which technically they could, but there's no need, unless there's a problem there, that there's no one else that will run it properly or that, then only you'd put in your own person, or do it yourself. Their purpose in killing Jarasandha was to stop him from creating a disturbance against the proper discharge of world peace. A demon always creates disturbances, whereas a demigod always tries to keep peace in the world. The mission of Lord Krishna is to give protection to the... okay, so that's it. So world peace, that goes with... So demigods, so then within demigods there's angels, and so then... yes. Okay. Therefore, Lord Krishna immediately called for the son of Jarasandha, whose name was Sahadeva, and withdrew ritualistic ceremonies. He asked him to occupy the seat of his father and reign over the kingdom peacefully. So he called him, offered that, and then they performed the thing, because they're the victors, but then they install him, so then people know he's the authority. And you can't mess with him, because then you'd have to mess with Dwarka, and the Kurus, So, yeah. Lord Krishna is the master of the whole cosmic creation, and he wants everyone to live peacefully and execute Krishna consciousness. After installing Sahadeva on the throne, he released all the kings and princes who had been imprisoned unnecessarily by Jarasandha. It wasn't that they were behaving badly, so he imprisoned them. Like that. It was just, he unnecessarily, he didn't like them. And he thought, great, they'll just add to my collection for offering and sacrifice, right? Conclusion. Krishna is conquered by the love of one who has conquered his senses. So we see Yudhishthira, then especially there, it's not about his kingdom, his position, his anything. It's about serving Krishna. So as a Kshatriya, they have a kingdom, they do the Kshatriya duties, and it does that all for Krishna. Right? So so he's able to conquer Krishna. Right? One who has not conquered his senses cannot conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the secret of devotional service. To conquer the senses means to engage them constantly in the service of the Lord. The specific qualification of all the Pandava brothers is that they always engage their senses in the Lord's service. One who thus engages his senses becomes purified. And with purified senses, the devotee can actually render transcendental loving service to the Lord and conquer him. Right? Because he's the Lord of the senses. So therefore, only with purified senses you can serve the Lord. Right? And so when one comes to that platform, the more one purifies, the more one, Krishna is bound by that devotion of the devotee. And when that comes to that platform of prema, then he is completely bound. Right? So that's the whole point, is that control of the senses is not because controlling is good, or being it's austere, or that. It's because it pleases Krishna. That's why we control the senses. Otherwise, if controlling the senses didn't please Krishna, we wouldn't worry about it. Does that make sense? So that's the whole point, is we do what pleases Krishna, not what we think is good or what we think is like that. Within what pleases Krishna, because it's a wide range, then we can choose according to our nature and position. Right? But it's not that we create our own. We just choose within there. So doing what pleases Krishna, then that's naturally what one would do as one's activities. And so to do that, one must control the senses so that one is properly engaged in one's activities. Otherwise, one will be distracted. If the senses aren't controlled, you'll be distracted both from the material and spiritual duties. So it's not that it'll just distract spiritually, it'll distract materially also. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So next group. Okay. Oh, it is. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhaktividya ki, Jai Nitai Gauru Prema.